Eh? Oh, you bastard! 3.5 quid up this morning.
Oh, come in, the girls just
Owned it. Welcome. Get up.
Hello, boys and girls, lads and lasses, and welcome back to another Wednesday night's movie. And tonight it's Groundhog Day. So, how did you find Groundhog Day, Colin?
Sorry, could you say that again?
Did I just say that? I don't know.
Yes, I think you did. I'm not sure. It's just a deja vu here. I haven't. I saw it years ago. It's actually quite clever. It's an interesting concept.
It is. It's a very, and it led to some interesting alternate movies. Like, for instance, you had Boss Level, and what was the other one? There was another one. I had it in my mind.
The Tom Cruise one.
Or whatever, Live, Die, Repeat, or whatever it was called.
Yeah. Well, there was at least one episode of Stargate SG-1.
Yes, the one with Colonel O'Neill, basically, and Teal constantly getting hit with the door.
Yeah,
and it was only O'Neill.
There's
and
a very, very similar episode in Andromeda where trying to look at, and she plays the same day at the future over and over again until she finds the right one, which is not exactly the same, but pretty much the same thing, just with a slightly different setting up.
Yeah. Right. Before we actually delve too deep into it, we have got 3 winners to announce. The winner of the Iron Brew Iron Man picture is our very own Darren M. So I'll get that posted out to you. And the 2 winners of the t-shirt keyring is Vlad the Exhaler and Windology. So we're in very own Windology. I did say it was open to everybody. And I rolled dice for everybody, and it was basically that's how it was. So well done, Darren, Vlad, and Windology. I will get them in the post this weekend. So look forward to that. So that's the Iron Brew done. So I'm back. That's me. So I'm looking for. I might actually do another one next month. I've got the Iron Brew hat. I think I'll throw in, and I'm sure I've got a couple of other bits and pieces to do. I've got a couple of DVDs as well, so I'll do a wee. So I will.
Nice.
So there you go. So Darren, happy anniversary! And
I was going to say, your anniversary press is going off down on Wendy there.
Yes, So there you go. Yep, and I got another big parcel turned up today, but that's not something I'm going to actually even show. It was a canvas of my grandson.
Oh wow!
Turned up today, an A3 canvas.
Wow!
So
nice.
that's not getting shown on Friday. Saturday's Let's Talk Geeky, because I've got stuff that I've got there, but Comic-Con this Saturday, so that's going to actually add to my collection. And I must admit, I've been.
So if you get home in time,
if I got home in time, yes, I can't get home in time because it usually finishes about 5, so I might just get home in time to get something to eat. So Groundhog Day, I must admit, I enjoyed this from the very beginning. But there's 1 or 2 things that I find it's not problematic with it. It's just that every time I see it, I've got this name in my head thinking he would have done it better. He would have done it better. I would have loved to see him in this part. Is there anybody you can think that could have fulfilled this part of Phil rather than Bill Murray? Just off the top of your head, a name, it just sort of pops in and think, oh, that. Anybody want to buy 2 dogs? Might give them away in the next month's raffle.
Not on the top of my head, but this is PJ maybe, so Bruce Campbell comes to mind.
No, actually, it wasn't.
Ah.
I did mention him in the green room, as they call it. Every time I saw him do something that was a bit zany or silly, Robin Williams popped into my head. The bit when he's trying to speak French, it just didn't quite look right. And I could just imagine Robin Williams nailing it. And the bit when he's doing the snowball fight with the kids and he's meant to be going a wee bit crazy the second time, I could just see Robin Williams nailing it. For some reason, Robin Williams just popped into my head when I was watching it, and I thought, oh, I wouldn't have mind seeing him doing something like this and seeing how he would have played it. But it's not something that we would have ever seen anyway, even if Robin was still with us. But just for some reason, in my head, Robin Williams' name popped up, and every time I was watching it, I was thinking, I think Robin Williams would have done it better. John Candy, yes, he would have actually been very good in it as well. So he would have. But I don't know. Bill Murray did a really, really good job. There's parts in it where he's playing it serious and he plays it very well. And the parts when he's playing it for comic timing, like the bit with Ned, or I really missed you. Could you get time off? And then you see Ned going, ugh! It was just a case of then as he runs away, just sort of grins and walks away. It was just. So he played the comic well. He played that bit. There was just 1 or 2 bits. It just didn't fit well. The bit with the second day when he's pretending to be crazy. Oh, the kids! I like doing this with kids and kids, and he was doing that. And it was just seemed a wee bit. There they're off again. Every time they hear a noise, they go off in one. But it's. I don't know.
I know what you mean, but I don't know as Robin Williams would necessarily have done the rest of it, because the starter place for the character for the sort of cynic, but
remember, Robin Williams can play really serious.
Oh, I know he can, but I'm just thinking
he could play it. He has got that zany part, and he can play the Mork and Mindy weirdo characters. Then he can actually play a serious, like A Life According to Garp comes to mind, and he can play the slow comedy, the humorous comedy, like Bicentennial Man, where it's serious and there's humorous moments in it. He doesn't need to go over the top, but whereas I think Bill Murray can do the humorous and the serious, but the bits where he's meant to be a wee bit over the top just looked weird. The bit with the snowman, and it was the second time it went round, and he was carrying and he was throwing the snowballs. It just seemed as if it was just a wee bit off. And then the bit where he's standing there, he's sitting there doing the French poetry, it just didn't look right. I don't know if it was just me.
The thing that gets me, I must admit, is if I want to be a little bit take you out of it, from her point of view, within the space of that 12-hour day, one day, he suddenly goes from being
18 hours. 18 hours.
So 18 hours. One day he goes from being the jerky type character he was to being her perfect man.
Yeah. And
you think, well, hold a minute, that's we know it happened because he's been doing it for Lord knows how long.
They actually, saw somebody who did a calculation based on what he did. Thousands of years. They did a calculation based on a couple of the things, like, for instance, the 6 months for the cards. Then they would say, how long would it take to learn to play the piano to that extreme? So maybe give it another 6 months to a year. And how long would it take to get to know every single person and all the things that are happening? And I think they reckoned it was either 15 or 20 years. They reckoned he was stuck in that one day.
She's just gone and asked the Toker how long it had been.
Yeah. 33 years as well.
Wow.
So, but it was, I was sure it was me, but 33 years seems about right, because you imagine, because the amount of times you saw him try to kill himself with the 3 times, right? Or, sorry, I'm going to. The dogs are going in next month's raffle. They're really annoying. But the thing is, right, you see him killing himself 3 times, driving off, jumping off the building and electrocuting himself. And 4 times he stood in front of the truck. But he mentioned multiple other times, and he said he's died that many times. So you take all that into account, how many times, how long it took him just to steal the bank roll, so he get that timing down. How he could actually time everything to the point where he's not even paying attention, and he'll say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, happen. 10 seconds, he's going to come in, that type of thing. So he's obviously lived it that many times, and yeah, you just imagine stuck in the same day 15, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And no matter what you do, nothing's going to matter, because you're just going to wake up again the next morning, the same morning.
And you never know which day. One day's actually going to turn out to actually end it. On the next day,
Yeah. Because the thing is, after a certain amount of time, you think it's never going to end.
Yeah.
So, like, as he did, he would do all the silly things just to actually make life interesting.
Well, it's like the bit. I mean, they did that. I thought they in the SG1 episode, where, for example, he's playing golf into the wormhole and resigning so he can kiss Carter just before he resets all the rest of it. You know, that's the sort of thing you think you do as well. You know.
Yeah, but you think about it. What would you do if you had the day that nothing you did mattered? Nothing, right? So he drives himself crazy to the point he tries to kill himself. Then what? Does he actually go around killing people just to actually see if that gets him something? Because he knows there's nothing he does at all that will make it. Because he could kill someone, next day he sees them again. Or stealing. Anything he wants. How many times did they actually pay £1,000 for the? Pardon me, $1,000 to get a piano lesson, but he gave all his money to the wee old man. And how many times did he see the wee old man dying and before he actually gave up on it? Things like that would be, for a comedy, you sit and think, my God, I would not like to be stuck in the same day. I'm trying to waving at the truck. I can't remember that bit. Is that it'll be the truck at hit him, but I can't remember that bit. That is very true. It was well written, where you do think, oh, he's going to play one of those pain in the arse characters, and then gradually you see him. He's actually, how many times has he even done that part before? He's saved the boy, he's saved the guy, he's jacked up the truck and the car, and all the bits he's done throughout the day that everybody comes and congratulations him for the last of the day. how many times has he done that before she notices?
We don't know. He's still got 3 years to go.
Mm-hmm.
He says after a quick bit of maths on his fingers. It came out in
How?
1993, so his 33 years will be up in 2026.
Oh no, it'll be, the 33 years will be up in 1993. It's the same day. It's
Yeah,
just he's lived 33 years in the one day.
And that's when the rest of the world will catch up with him.
Well, I think seeing the old boy die definitely changed his attitude and her reaction when he spends the night and she falls asleep. Where he doesn't try and get his end away, he just basically just quite happy for her to fall asleep, and he's not trying to actually convince her to spend the night, shall we say. Which wouldn't be done nowadays because, oh, bad boy. She said
God.
no, and he kept saying yes.
Oh, today. No, I don't even want to think about it today. Oh, come on. Today it'll be Wilhelmina Murray for starters. It'll be Philippa.
Yeah, I know.
But
even the things like how many times did each of the actors have to go through the same routine with a slight difference? Like, for instance, Ned, when he's going, the first set's a doozy, and he does it perfectly both times. But the only difference is Phil's face when he's looking towards the camera. The second time it's... But if you look at the Ned both times, he's done it almost identical. How many times did each of the actors have to do the same bit over and over and try and nail them to the exact? Because you know what it's like. You see a lot of outtakes and bits and pieces, and where they're doing the same thing over and over again, but there's slight differences here and there. Maybe they stand a wee bit more to the left, or when they're pointing slightly different. They obviously nailed that. Benji, going to stop.
I was thinking that. I mean, I wonder if it's easier or harder to do that, because obviously you practice a scene out. You practice a scene, and then obviously you practice, you rehearse, then you maybe do multiple takes for the scene.
Yeah.
Is it? It's easier or harder on an actor to do that because you're doing the same thing over and over again, but just slightly differently. Is it easy because you've got 95% of it down, or is it harder because you've got to change that 5%? No, I don't know.
I would say Bill Murray having to change the 5%, not a problem, but it's when the other actors have to do it spot on. So you can't see a slight difference with the facial expressions or the way they stand or even the way they point, because how many times you're going to watch it and you'll say, oh, wait a minute, slight differences between those two. So if it's the same day, he acts the exact same way, you would expect exactly the same reaction, which with Ned, you see the almost identical reaction. Benji, going to stop trying to eat the mic. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's such a I think it gets a lot less good press because I think it's actually a movie a lot of people like, not denying that, but if you ask about one that actually, because you just need to say, oh, it's like a Groundhog Day, people know exactly what you're talking about. However, when was the last time anybody really sat down and thought, I think Groundhog Day will give that a go? Because we've all got movies that we watch maybe once or twice a year or once every year or whatever. How many people have got Groundhog Day on that type of thing? They see it, and if it pops on the TV, they'll watch it, or if they buy the DVD, they'll watch it. But how often do they have it in a regular occurrence? I can't see it being a lot of people's go-to movie, but I can see it being in a lot of people's maybe top 10 comedies.
Yeah.
Because of that. Do you know what I mean? Are you enjoying just sitting there, Benji? He's just obviously, the two of them are actually quieting down now, thankfully. I'm getting you away next month. Or did I just say that? But no, it's just, there you go. Darren. Every day on the day, 2nd of February. Well, I watched it twice, once right after the other, and it felt very weird watching the same movie twice, one after the other, about repeating the same day. But as I said, there is other movies that I think. Can anybody think of a movie that had the same premise, or a TV show that had the same premise before this came out? There must have been something that's it's gone through, but since this movie, I know of other movies and TV shows. Like, as you said, Stargate did it, and Andromeda, you mentioned. You've had Live, Die, Repeat. You've had Boss Level. You even had, what was the one? What was the one? The one about the guy who could see 30 seconds ahead of himself. Remember, he could see 30 seconds into the future. And then at the end of the movie, it turned around that he'd already lived that day, so he knows how it's going to happen. And as long as the girl's safe, he'll go and do it again. So although you see it going through right up to the very end, you realise that the day he's lived, he's just about to relive. That was him just seeing the whole day in the future.
Oh, right.
I don't think
I remember that offhand.
Right, Benji. Enough. Every time I go to use the mouse, he licks my hand, which means the mouse goes through. And my mouse has got a habit of how many times has it kicked me off the stream in the last year? And that's me just actually controlling my mouse. You imagine him when I'm doing something, he goes click and I go boom and away. Dogs. Right, first time. So my roommate and I both recovering from the flu, and it was her birthday. Very good. There you go. It's that type of thing. It's the same as me. I've got a Groundhog Day, but it's not on my regular watch list. You know what I mean?
I'm genuinely interested to know. I mean, Groundhog Day is not a thing in this country in the first place. It's an American thing. But,
yes, of course.
I understand the pretense of having seen the film, but before this film came out, was there any idea, any connection with Groundhog Day and living the same day over and over again? Or was that two completely separate things that they brought together for the film?
See, I think if they hadn't picked Groundhog Day, it would have been another American. It could have been Vacation, so it could have been Thanksgiving. So he's just living the Thanksgiving over again, but they had to have something that was a big event in the town. So if it was
it would probably also have had to be something. If you're going to name the film after the day rather than the event, it's probably got to be, as you say, a big-ish event, certainly locally, but something which doesn't have any other
movies after.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you wouldn't, you probably wouldn't do it you wouldn't have a film called 4th of July or Independence Day.
Yeah, but it's that type of thing. So I think it's the type of movie
wouldn't.
Yeah. But it is synonymous now with repeating the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it became so well known for that. That is, as you say, you say Groundhog Day, anybody, most people
knows what it's talking about.
Yeah, think of living the same day over and over again.
But I just can't think of anything prior to Groundhog Day which had that premise of somebody living the same day over and over again. See, I remember a Twilight Zone episode, Burgess Meredith. I think it was Burgess Meredith. He basically became immortal. So he kept trying to kill himself just to experience it. So he would jump in front of a train, he would do this and do that. And the twist is at the end, he basically killed someone so he could get the electric chair. Because he hadn't tried that. He'd tried to kill himself every other way and none of it worked. And then when he gets sentenced to life imprisonment. And that's basically the I suppose
Sting,
the punchline.
yeah.
It's the punchline of it. But I can't think of anything prior to Groundhog Day that had that premise. I suppose so. Groundhog Day, well, Wonderful Life, you weren't born, and this is how you're not being around changes thing. Whereas Groundhog Day, you're living the same life over and over again until you get it right. So I don't know. I'm not going to say yes or no to that one.
I can see what you mean. It's a mirror image almost of the same thing, isn't it? I see what he says. It's a mirror. It's almost a mirror image. And as you said, with Wonderful Life, you see what happens if you weren't there, and then you want to change it. And then with Groundhog Day, you're there making a difference.
Yeah,
the flip
but
side.
it is just one of those movies. And if anybody can think of any movie or TV show that did it prior to Groundhog Day, leave it in the comments or the chat. It's just so I know if this was groundbreaking to the point where people are now copying it. As I said, Boss Level, Live, Die, Repeat, Stargate, and I'm sure Buffy would have had an episode something like it.
Probably.
Same idea. It's how many have had the maybe they lived the last hour again. They just keep repeating the last hour or the last.
Well, saying that depends how far you want to go. I mean, there was another episode of SG1, for example, where Teal'c got stuck in a chair in a training simulation, and he did the same simulation over and over again until I think it was Daniel went in. But similar again, not living the same day, but again, similar thing, living the same thing over and over again.
Yes, the same thing, because the four of them were in, because Daniel kept seeing his parents die. Jack kept seeing his group die, so he kept living the same.
There's that one, and there's another one with the later one where they got the sequel to that one where they've actually found what they've recovered, because that one where each of get to do it. I think that's the one with Dwight Schultz, isn't it, as the keeper sort of thing that they finally work out. But then the other one I'm thinking of is where they're back at SG1 and they've got the chair and they're using it as a training thing, and Teal'c gets stuck in and he's stuck in, and because he will not give up, he's living the thing over and over and over and over and over again. And every time he beats the game changes and he goes back in again. So again, similar sort of thing where he's literally living the same thing. Well, as that again. And in fact, I mean, there was what was the one we did 2 or 3 weeks ago on Mr. Hyde's channel, where at the end it turns out this was their hell loop, that they the four people always, they went back to ghosts, and then they got back in the lift, and it turned out, although we didn't actually see them do that, but it turned again a similar situation where they go back in.
there is a few things
So, I
where
mean,
they sort of hint it's basically they're in a loop. There is a few things where they talk about being in a loop, or because the way they show it, you start something's happening, and then they end it, and then as they go into the lift, you realise that's them going into the lift, or the lift as they're about to come out, or they go through the door.
Yeah.
It's like something, maybe so many of them die, and then the one guy goes through the lift and goes through the door, and as he goes through the door, he comes out, and the three people who just died are standing there, and you realise it's all going to happen again. But there's none. It's actually showed it. That's what I'm trying to get to. Whereas
that's what I said. I mean,
specific, whereas it constantly.
Yeah.
But Doctor Who, Megalus. When was Megalus? That was Tom.
Was Megalus the Tom the Giant Cactus?
Yeah, that's Megalus. Aye. So that was. So Tom was. That was 80s.
Yeah.
84.
No. No. 63 to 63, 66, 66, 69, 69, 72. So Tom would have been 73 to maybe 80, 81.
81.
Thereabouts, I think, because 66 and 9, 63 to 6 was hashtag Hartnell first. 67 to 9, assuming they did it over a year between each one, would have been
Tom Baker was 74 to 81.
So then 66 to 69 would have been John Pertwee.
Yeah, I'm just looking for Megalos when I've got it on.
I'm thinking he only did 3 series. I'm not sure myself.
Megalos was season 18, so it was his final season, so that would be 80-81. He did it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Peter said 80. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing is that there have been a number, as you said, a number of versions of the same basic idea of repeating the same thing over and over and over again. But it's specifically in this case, it's specifically repeating the same day over and over again, from when you wake up to when you go to sleep or kill yourself.
Yeah.
And you have a particular thing to work towards, as opposed to it being something like the SG1 episode where it's a case of you've got to work out what's going wrong, and it's not what you do, it's someone else who's doing it, but you've got to interact with them or whatever it is. But it's,
1201 was 1993, and a man likes a woman at work. He sees her get murdered. He gets drunk and zapped at 12:01 a.m. Next morning, she's back and everything's exactly as the day before. The time loop gives him a chance to save her. So,
then there's been a few shows like that, haven't there? I mean, not early edition. The guy saw the papers.
that was basically he just got the paper a day early.
Yeah, but I'm sure there've been other shows like that where you've got where people have had the chance to. 7 days. You guy got to go back 7 days and change what happened, so on. So yeah, it's not.
You've had ones that are time loops, like for instance, you would have what was
there's the next generation? There's a next generation episode where they did it.
Was it Doomwatch, where they would go back in time to try and Quantum Leap did it as well.
You know what I mean?
So, but what I'm saying is
Yeah,
something like Groundhog Day, where it just shows the whole day, just repeat whole day, repeat. Whereas there's ones,
Well,
there is
I think
movies
there's
where
an next
somebody
gen
maybe goes
episode as well,
back in
wasn't there?
time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Fair point. I'm saying, yeah, it's different takes. But yeah, I mean, it's a specific. I mean, the other difference I think is to a degree is it the protagonist's actions? Is it a pass? Is it active or is it passive? So it's passive. Phil doesn't have any chance. He goes, whatever happens, he's going to go back and start the day again.
Yes.
Right? It's nothing he does. Whereas Quantum Leap, Sam jumps into the accelerator. 7 days, they go back in time, etc. So yeah.
Yeah.
But I said that, I mean, I'm sure there was a next gen episode where
there was a next gen episode where Picard actually he gets there's a probe and he lives out his life.
Oh yeah, that one. Yep,
that was
that
the
one.
one he learned to pipe. But there was also the O'Brien one where he lives his life in prison. He gets in prison for 30 years, but it's only overnight. It's just a dream they put in just to punish. So there is ones where there's time loops in it, even going back to the old Twilight Zone and stuff like that. But I'm just trying to think of something that has got a similar idea. And I think even ones that maybe have had a similar idea wouldn't have been comedies. So maybe that's why they don't stick in the public conscious, because a comedy is universal. Whereas people have horror genres, they have fantasy genres or something like that.
This if you like, I mean, Groundhog Days, if you like, is depending on if you want to put a sci-fi fantasy label on it because of the time loop, but it's a comedy. It's a romantic comedy. It's basically it's a rom-com. It's just it all takes place within the same looping 18 hours.
Yep. So, but there is some parts in this, I must admit, I love. There is parts where I just think I could watch that bit over and over again. There's parts I could think that bit I could skip over, like the bit where they're doing the auction and the cameraman's up there giving it that, and the wee old woman pays 25 cents for him, and he's just that whole section, that one wee bit, I could just ignore because it's not even funny. Him standing there, that's Carry On did that a lot better years ago. Remember the one Carry On? The one that set in Britain, you had Sing-a-Pod, and remember he made
Carry On Cleo.
Carry On Cleo, was that Carry On Cleo?
I think it was Carry On Cleo because they end as in let's put it this way: infamy. They've all got an infamy.
Yeah, that's it's the one where they're selling them at the slave market. And,
I'm pretty certain that's Carry On Cleo.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if it was Carry On Cleo or if it was Carry On Britain or something like that. It was just...
I don't remember them doing more than one ancient history one.
Aye, but the Carry On Cleo, the bit where they're actually when you see Jim Dale's character, he's up and they're all bidding for him, and then he goes out and he's giving it and they end up branding him for the Lions. I mean, that one, to me, that was very similar to that, but Carry On was funnier, whereas this one just seemed, it was almost like having a go at the character, because they had a go. The character wasn't even annoying or anything. It was just, even the bits where Phil was sort of winding them up, he was sort of giving it the as if taking it as good humour. You know what I mean? And he was just, when he was talking to the producer, they're having a laughing joke at Phil's expense. It didn't seem as if he was just overly trying. He was overly trying to be creepy with women, until the bit where he's chatting to the girl at it squeaked, and he's sort of, "You want to come to my van?" And he's hanging over her, and then suddenly he's up there trying to. It just seemed that bit with him just seemed out of place in the movie, because up until that point he wasn't a creepy type of character, but
Yeah.
they sort of just threw that creepy character aspect of him in just at that point. Because up until that point, he was chatting to the Hangman MacDowell's character quite a thing. So he wasn't leering at her or sort of suggesting maybe she comes into the van and they can, and all that. So it didn't have the creepy vibe right up until the point where he's sitting having a drink with her and he's suggesting coming back to his van and then hanging over her at the party. It just seemed as if they did a shift with the character, and it wasn't a very good shift. So that part I can skip because I just thought it was out of place. However, the bit where he's carving the ice sculpture, very well done. In the bit where he's already got the thing's already been molded and he's pretending it's ice and he's carving it and you can't see it until he spins it round. It still looked good, and it was still entertaining enough that you could watch those bits again, because when he's doing the ice carving part, fine well, somebody's ice carving and he's giving him a bit of instructions, but he still looks as if he knows what he's doing. Like when they're going in with the chainsaw and then he's scraping it down with that. It just looked the part, which for an actor to look the part, even though he's not done anything, is quite good acting. However, when they switch it and then it actually changes, like as I said, the bit where he's with the snowman, the first time when he's building a snowman, the kid's hit him with a stone, he's giving it, "Get behind me, my lady," and he's throwing them back. He's just having a laugh and a joke. Yet, second time, it's over the top, and you're sitting there thinking, where did that come from? It just seemed too much, considering how he was slowly building up to getting to her to want to come back to his room. That part, because she said about kids, and he was going, "Oh, I love kids," and it just seemed it was a shift, and it just seemed a weird shift. So there's a couple of bits like that in it. I think somebody's obviously says, "Right, we'll put that bit in," and you're sitting there thinking, it doesn't match with the rest of the things that he's trying to do.
Yeah,
because you saw it with a bit when she mentioned she was at university studying European poetry. And he sort of laughs it off. That's a waste of time. Well, I'm saying is for other people, it's a waste of time. So he's not just laughing, going, whereas after seeing the snow part, you think his character would just laugh at that, and then the next day he would pull it back. So the first time the kids, I would have expected him to do the silly stuff and then calm down, whereas he went in the other way. It's things like that. It just seemed to be almost this shift in character didn't quite work. And when the shift changing stories for the other characters, that didn't quite work as well. And as I said, him speaking French just didn't work for me either. But it's just wee bits like that. It's the shift in the tone of characters. It's almost like, right, what would happen if we did it this way? And they do it and they say, right, we'll put that one in. And you're sitting there thinking, putting that one in doesn't really quite work. So, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So
there's some things that you watch it, and especially because we're seeing the same thing again and again, just perhaps slightly differently. You realise, you can't myself, hold a minute, actually, no, going from there to there doesn't seem that much sense.
Yeah, it does. It's just the tonal shift, because you see him early on with the white chocolate, and he went, "White chocolate, no." So it basically didn't make a big issue of it, because she obviously didn't even notice it. It's almost like a case of, yeah, he's thinking about white chocolate. I don't like chocolates. Then the next bit he does, and she mentions about the the studying, and he sort of laughed it off, but he covered it by saying, for anybody else, it's the type of thing you would do. You would laugh at somebody saying something, then you would try and pull it back.
Yeah.
And then you get to the bit with the snow, and it just seemed to be huh?
Yeah.
Sort of, he suddenly changed, because that's not the way he's been doing it. He's been gradually getting better and better and better. At that point, he seemed to go off the rails. Maybe that's what they wanted to do, show him going off the rails and then coming back again. Because the next bit is when it's a case of no white chocolate and all that, and then she loses it because of that. But then again, there's the next day he could do it again, and she's not remembered that. They're implying that, she's found out. Well, how many times did she slapped him? And she's obviously found out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Peter. What I meant was when I said that, I said, I mean, a sort of sci-fi or fantasy elements. What I meant when I said, the repeat of the day is what I meant. So there's no actual sort of sci-fi explanation for it.
Yeah.
What I meant was it's sci-fi, or any sort of sci-fi or fantasy element to it, if you like.
Yeah, well, the sci-fi part of it is caught in a time loop. That's quantum mechanics. So it's science fiction. But yeah, there is, the good thing is they didn't try to explain what caused it.
No, they didn't.
He just literally woke up one day selfish, and he just forced to live the day over and over again until he can improve himself. So you understood how you get out of it, but you still don't know how you get into it. It just happened. And that's the good thing. It's almost like they didn't need... Nowadays, they would have to give you a big explanation. Instead of going to see a doctor to get a scan, Harold Ramis wrote, produced, directed, and was in it. I did notice. Yeah, I mean, but he does like doing that. But the fact is, he went to see a head doctor. He went to see a shrink. Nowadays, they would go and see a scientist to try and work out what caused it, because they can't actually just leave it there and just leave it a mystery. You have to have your mystery box opened.
Yeah, so, exactly. Even though they'd have to do it, they'd have to show it. They'd have to show they'd have to show some Langer curse or however they were going to explain it. Yeah.
See, Peter, I would actually agree. The part where he's trying too hard because he couldn't get any further, but he has got further. They were up in the room, and then he was convincing her to stay, and then she mentioned the ice cream, and he said, "I don't like that," and then he goes, "Right, no Rocky Road," and that's the bit. So that part, but that was after the snow. So he did the snow, then he did the snow again, and he went a wee bit crazy, but they still continued him improving to the point where she's in his room after the night out. So that's the point. I mean, if they'd shown a couple of times and they never get any further than the snowball fight, yes, I could see that's the part. I mean, but he gets further than that, and then after that, he seems to have lost it because she keeps slapping him. So how did he get her into the room and she lost it because of something he says, but the next time he could have done the exact same thing, but for some reason he didn't because he kept getting slapped. It's almost as like she knew as well, which to me was a wee bit weird, that part where he got her up so far and it was him opening his mouth. When that's when she says, "So have you been contacting all my friends?" Next morning she wakes up, she's forgot all that, so he could go through all that again. And as he gets to that part, try play it differently. Try no be overly keen on getting into bed and just try something different. But he didn't. He never got that far. After that, she kept slapping him. So he changed everything about it. But that was after the snowball fight. And that's what I'm saying. So the snowball fight, he just seemed to, between one take and the other, where it's meant to be the next day, he just seemed to go crazy. But then you see later on, he's gone further than that because they're in the room. So, yeah, that's why he changed his character, because she kept slapping him and he's obviously realised it ain't working. And then with the old boy, and that's when he changed to play the piano and he just helping people out and gradually improved himself. But on the whole, to me, it's a movie is enjoyable. It's not on my regular watch list, but I think, as Darren says, if it's on, I'll sit and watch it. If we're reviewing it, I'll sit and watch it. I have got a copy of it. Occasionally, if I want something that's just light-hearted, nothing special, I might bring it out, but it's not on a regular routine on my watch list.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's you probably got to be in the right mood for it.
Mm-hmm. You definitely need to be in the right mood for it. But saying that, what would you give this out of your 10, and what would be your best? What would be your favourite part of it that you can remember?
Yeah, I have to say, I think I would probably. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to give it an 8 out of 10. It's an interesting, because it's an interesting premise, and when it came out, it was a new idea and a new take on the idea as well. It's got some very good. Where they, I like the way they do the repeats, and they make a slight, he makes a slight change and he grades, he makes a slight change here and there, and it takes time to get up to it. I can't think of any bits I particularly didn't like or that didn't work, but I'm sure there probably would have been a few bits that probably wouldn't necessarily bear repeat viewing. But it's it's an interesting idea, and of course, as I said, it's something which has, even if it didn't lead directly to it, it's an idea which has been done in a number of different ways as well. I don't know if you would get so many repeat the same day over and over again storylines in various places if this film hadn't come out and hadn't been a presumably reasonable success.
Well, I suppose that's true. Right, listen, I put in the chat, YouTube has got 1201.
All right.
So it has. So I'll put it in the chat. I'll put it in the private chat, because I know seeing it in the chat doesn't always work for us in StreamYards. So I'll put it in the private chat.
So who knows? Maybe maybe on Mr. Hyde's Sunday stream sometime in the near future.
Say that again.
I said maybe Mr. Hyde will feature it on one of his and Wendy's Sunday. Well, it seems, I just wait for it to come in, but it seems to be, the link seems to be working from the chat.
Good. It's just that basically 1201 sci-fi film, 1993, 1 hour 34 minutes. So it looks like the full movie's on YouTube. So that makes it easier. I guess what I'll be watching tomorrow. I'll be watching that tomorrow just to actually, I know it's, as Roman would say, I might not like it because it's too dark. But I'm enjoying some unusual. Kelly, I've finally watched After Paradise.
Beyond Paradise.
Beyond Paradise. And yes, I enjoyed it. I can't imagine if it would have been as good with Aaron or Hanlon, whoever you pronounce him, or anybody. I can't imagine it would be as good. But I did finally watch it. And Ralph Little is not as annoying. That's because season 9, he was annoying. He stopped being annoying in season 10, but they brought Marlon in, and Marlon was really annoying. Then he stopped being annoying, and they brought in the new girl, and she's really annoying.
Yeah,
the only one they've introduced that I really, really like is the detective sergeant, the one that was a sergeant initially. Melissa. That
Naomi?
I like her.
Naomi?
She is Naomi. She is her. I love her character in it. I liked her when she was a sergeant. I like her as the detective sergeant. Ralph Little's character is less annoying, but that's only because there's somebody else that's more annoying. It was Marlon, and he's become less annoying because the new girl.
I think with Ralph Little's cut, so they've deliberately cut back on some of the more annoying bits.
Okay, yeah.
One thing I was interested, what is going to be interesting to see with Beyond Paradise is how many deaths there are going to be, because of course
it's a small village.
Well, not only that, but more to the point, it's called Beyond Paradise, not Death in Paradise. Right?
Yes, I suppose it could be.
Who was the victim? Who was the murder victim in this week's episode?
Exactly. So they get killed.
There wasn't one. Exactly. So I'm just wondering if it's going to be a little less. I mean, yeah, it was an attempted murder, but one attempted one, is it going to be? Is it going to be?
Now, Kelly,
I'm
not annoying at first. I'm annoying all the time. So there's certain things that people aren't annoying at first.
You are annoying at first. We just never got over it.
Well, that actually is a better description. I like that. But the characters do grow on you, but I think it's because somebody else takes that edge away. And I think it's like this. See, some in movies that Bill Murray's in, he really annoys me because I think the characters are very similar. He's the calmed down version of Jack Nicholson. He plays the same character and everything.
Yeah.
However, he can get away with it.
Did he do something recently that's supposed to have got him in trouble somewhere? Because there wasn't a lot of whinging about him being in 30 Seconds in the new Antifa Man movie.
I don't know. I've not seen it, and I've no.
No, I've not. But I thought, and I suppose he's in it. I think he's in it, and I'm sure it's some that were complaints about him being in it. So presumably he's done something that's annoyed someone. So presumably Groundhog Day. I was surprised we're allowed to talk about Groundhog Day.
Yeah. There you go, Peter. That's an actual question. You watch Paradise Bits and Pieces. How many changes has there been to the main character? There's been 4.
Yeah, which one?
There's been 4 characters. Ralph Little's the 4th one. But the DS is changed a number of times as well.
Every single
police officer the only person who's been there from the beginning is
the commissioner and Catherine.
Catherine. That's the only 2 from the beginning. Everybody else has changed.
And they finally made it into the main credit titles if they're in the episode rather than at the end of the lists. After 12 seasons, you finally get to know if they're going to be in the episode or not, because they're actually, in fact, Don Warrington now gets second credit, I think.
Yeah. And actually, you were wrong, by the way. There was a death in Beyond Paradise. She lost the baby. So there was a death in Beyond Paradise.
But yeah, but I specifically said murder victim.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
But
interestingly, all
yeah,
the
and that's
DS
exactly it. Bill Murray plays Bill Murray.
Yeah,
He's the same
I
as
mean-
Jack Nicholson plays Jack Nicholson, and I think the certain roles Jack Nicholson works in, the rest of them he's just playing himself, and he's not really acting. And I can't be bothered with an actor. Some people who play themselves are fine in certain roles, but if you get someone and everybody says he's a great actor when he just plays himself and he doesn't really act, he just plays himself. He just speaks the lines, but he doesn't act. You can't see that with some of the ones that are method actors that are a wee bit crazy and stuff like that, because they do change their character, the personality of their characters are different. Sometimes their voices are slightly different, or the Tootsie.
Dustin
Hoffman, Tootsie, Rain Man, to name two, right?
Oh,
Two
yeah, I mean,
completely different character types, even down to the fact is the way he speaks and stuff like that.
Well, as opposed to
That's a good actor, whereas Jack Nicholson is Jack Nicholson. To me, he's not a great actor. He's just
how many different Sean Connery roles were just James Bond? Which is Sean Connery being Sean Connery.
Exactly. Same
I mean,
idea. I would have said Sean Connery is a very famous actor, but he's not a very great actor because he doesn't really. He plays a Spanish Scotsman. He plays a Russian Scotsman. He plays an English Scotsman. He plays, And I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, if he's playing to his strengths and he does well, and he makes good, he makes good films. Well, I mean, Kelly's pointed out. I think actually, interesting question. If there is a fifth DI, and he is a she, will they then have a male DS?
But the thing is, they've had at least 2 female DIs in it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, it's the main leads. I mean, as the head, as the main.
I think not. I think if they have if he leaves after this one and doesn't come back, which implying he is coming back, just to be ended, then I think they won't get rid of Naomi. They would be crazy to get rid of Naomi. I think she's the best character in it.
Well, I mean,
after Don Warrington,
because it starts because all the DSs have been females. All the you start off until
Naomi. She was the first female sergeant. You had female officers. No, the first sergeant was the one that murdered the very first episode.
What I'm saying is all the DSs, all the sergeants, detective sergeants, have been female until Danny John Jules left. It was 3 males, 1 female, because both of the cops, both of the uniform officers were males.
Yeah.
Then
that's not how it started, because the very first episode there was a female sergeant and she was the one that got arrested for the murder.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, but she doesn't count because she wasn't of the main team. What I'm saying is, for the main team, it's been largely male until the annoying one came along. Until Selwyn's niece came along, and then you had an even split. You had male, female.
Yeah, and having a third female, I don't think would be an issue. I don't think it would be. I don't
think it's. I'm just
because I think the good thing is Death in Paradise isn't pandering. My camera looks as if it's about to give up the ghost. You see that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I'm going to actually bounce my camera off just now. I'll have to have a look at it tonight. I hope it's not going to go, because I need to dig out. I've got my other camera, but that's not the wide angle, so I'll deal with that at a later day.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, because it'll be. I honestly don't know because you've got, there is a, even if you've not got, without any sort of romance or anything, you've got a different dynamic between a male DI and a female sergeant partner than you would have, I think, between a female and a female. I think there's a different. I honestly wonder if they do that. If they then say, okay, well, I know you think about it. If Neville goes and you get a female comes in, you're then going to have 3 women and one bloke. Is that the way they'd actually want to go? Oh, hold on, we've lost him altogether. He's now showing his device is not connected. So I don't know. I mean, it's a question of, I remember. No. I won't mention those rumours of a certain person going over to be on power to take over in St. Marie because she doesn't exist. We won't mention that at all. I'm not quite sure if PJ's camera's actually gone. It's interesting because, of course, you don't actually have to have a camera, but I suppose maybe he needs it for a microphone. Because I'm now waffling on completely on my own, having just realised that PJ's gone. Oh, PJ said, yep, camera's gone. Okay. Can you come back in with just a mic without a camera? Because I've not got a camera, so I know you can do it without a camera, but I don't know if you need to rewire or anything. Okay, so let me. Oh no. Okay, well, in that case, remind me in chat what's next week's film, PJ. Because I can't remember off the top of my head, but I will remind everybody that, of course, on Saturday, of course, 8 o'clock again, we are back with however many of the Geeky Gang turn up. Alex, we can torment Roman by talking about Doctor Who behind his back again. And next week is the TV show is Coupling. So PJ having had a equipment failure, I suppose I shall probably do the waffle bit. I think I should probably, best thing is probably going to be to wrap this up. So thank you all for watching. Like, share and subscribe, I think we're supposed to say, but I'm not sure if YouTube likes that or not. And hopefully we all enjoyed watching Groundhog Day. And Coupling next week. And Saturday, as I say, will be Let's Talk Geeky. So hopefully I will see you on Saturday. But until then, I'm going to end the broadcast and wish you all a good afternoon or a good evening. Good night.